My guest today is Sidra Qasim. Sidra is the founder of Atoms, one of the fastest growing and most exciting sneaker brands to come out in the last few years. I wanted to have Sidra on because I think as an industry, our sense of risk and bravery has sort of gotten scrambled in the last few years. I'm going to put this plainly. If you went to a really nice school and you were deciding between taking a job at Google or going and starting your own company, it is simply not that big of a risk, and it's simply not that big of an act of courage to go and start a company. You knew you were going to be fine. And by the way, anything I'm saying about these founders applies to me too. But there are founders out there for whom being a founder is a big risk. They have to put their entire lives, everything they know on the line. Sidra is one of those founders. Sidra grew up in the outskirts of Lahore, and she had to go through a lot to get here. It's truly incredible that somebody that came from the places she came from could have achieved so much in such little time through so much adversity. It was the first time in this podcast that I actually found myself losing track of time listening to her. Her story is so beautiful and so inspirational. I could not be more proud to have Sidra on the podcast. And with that, I bring you Sidra Qasim from WeFounder's office on Mission Street in San Francisco. This is Warm Intro. Sidra, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I love your story, and I will have done a lot of this in the intro. But I've known about what you're doing for pretty much since the beginning. And I saw the Kickstarter when that came out, and I read The Humans of New York when that came out. I'm dangerously close to being a fan, a fanboy. But I want to start with, I want to actually have you describe someone to me. If we can start by describing your mom, just what is she like? What's her personality like? What kind of life has she lived? Just tell me everything about her. What is she like?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me. Actually, this is very interesting. No one ever asked about my mom, especially in an interview. Except Brendan Stanton once. My mom, I think I am now, getting older, I realize that I'm more like my mom. So my mom, I always saw her someone who dreamed bigger than, the ideas that were given to her. And she grew up in a household where she was number two. And I'm number two also. And she was number two also. And
does she have an older sister also, or
she has an elder brother? Okay, she has six sisters, and three brothers.
Wow!
So big family, large family, and she was someone who got married very early on, and then somehow my mom's brother asked my father to make a promise that even after marriage, he wants his sister to go and get graduated.
Wow.
And my father agreed to that. And that, honestly, that changed the whole trajectory of our family, because my mom became the first woman in her family, or I think at the time in her extended family too, the first woman who graduated. Wow. And then I remember she was also doing teaching, but at the same time she was preparing her master's exams. And then she was also dealing with 3 kids.
Oh my God.
So I always saw her like someone who was always, thinking about what she can do. And then, she is also a very strong personality.
Yeah.
And then I also saw her in a next phase where she was earning a really good money. I saw her fighting for her bank account with my father at one point. Wow. Because my father wanted her to have her first check into his account. And my mom said that I want to have, and there was a big fight, I remember clearly. And then somehow later on, government made this rule that you have to get your salary into your bank account. And that's how the change happened. Wow. So at the same time, she was fighting with that mentality. She was taking, a leap into her career. But then she did something really amazing, which, until to this day, I am like, wow. She started saving some money, and she started acquiring some land, and then she started building apartments.
Wow.
So on every summer, when she has summer vacation, she would like just go build an apartment and give it for rent, and that kind of become a recurring income to sustain 6 children. We are also a large family, like 4 sisters and 2 brothers. So, my mom, I think if I have to say one word, she is basically the real foundation for all of us, especially for all sisters. And I'm just realizing that we all sisters are really, really strong. And also if I see like all of us are successful in our own ways, and it's because my mom set up that foundation. So I would just say like she is basically like foundational to the entire family.
Do you ever wonder if your mom had gotten the opportunity to come to America and be an entrepreneur over here, how far she could have gotten?
Honestly, I think
she would be the president.
I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, the thing about women, even if you see in your own circle too, unfortunately, we give resources to women like chunk by chunk. We don't give them the same space as everyone has. So I'm just looking at, it's hard for me to even think about what she could be. But I know for sure the kind of resources were given to her. She made tremendous, things out. She not only like sustained herself, gave us a good inspiration and way of thinking forward, but at the same time, she actually provided a financial stability to our family. So, and my father, my father has a complete he has a freedom to play in any playing field.
Yeah.
And my father was like really, kind of reserved person. He was not exploring out there. I don't know from where it came, but then I saw the same thing happening in my brothers too.
Yeah.
So when you ask me this question, honestly, I can't even imagine what that possibility could be. All I know that she created whatever she could, but like bigger than what she could at the time. And even still to this day, she's doing a lot.
My uncle always says this about his mother, my grandmother. He always says, because we're all really big fans in my family of my grandfather. We all talk a lot about how far he took the family and everything he did, and how we all live much better lives because of what he did. And the one thing my uncle brings up every single time we talk about this, he says, if my grandmother had been in charge, we would have been like 10x further.
Yeah.
And so I think about that a lot.
Yeah.
Because we're still in a place, even this generation, where these are still hypotheticals, right? Especially where you and I are from. Yeah. We grew up not that far from each other. You grew up how far from Lahore?
It's 120 kilometer.
Yeah, and so I grew up in Delhi, so whatever that is, right? Like,
it's, Lahore and Delhi,
already pretty close. Yeah, it's anytime there was a war between the two countries, it was always the Pakistani army was trying to get to Delhi, and the Indian army was.
We're gonna occupy Delhi. We're gonna occupy Lahore.
My dad's favorite story to tell. He's going to be embarrassed that I'm sharing this. He talks about one of the wars, one of them. However many there have been. He talks about how the Pakistani army was saying that they were going to have dinner in Delhi, that they were going to get in and they were going to have dinner in Delhi. And then at this point in the story, my dad leans forward and says, but we had breakfast in Lahore. It's his favorite story to tell that. But anyway, that's his boomer dad war stories.
Oh, my God.
But I want to bring this back to you and to your family. So you're growing up 120 kilometers away from Lahore, the daughter of 2 teachers, right? And they taught at the same school?
No, different.
I see.
But in same city.
I'm not going to ask you to describe your whole childhood to me, but are there stories, especially about their relationship, your parents' relationship, that are kind of like seared in your memory that you think about a lot?
Yeah, I do. And actually, I think they not only like those moments, they kind of like sealed in my brain, but I saw them over and over again in different shapes. Even though I moved from Ukhara to Lahore to San Francisco to New York, I saw those things. So, example, one of the things which I always questioned and I always saw, like they were both very loving parents. Like one of the best. Even though I would say my mom was a little bit strict.
Did you get hit as a kid?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, which of the siblings got hit the most? I don't mean to derail it, really.
Because I always like either question or like not listen and do. Me and my younger brother who's younger than me, we too.
Yeah.
Rest of them, they were always in safe zone.
It is really sad that in Desi families, the kid that gets hit the most is always the kid that asks the most questions.
Yeah,
Asking questions is not encouraged. But anyway,
like that's the reality. And also like, not just asking the question, but also when it doesn't make sense to them, they won't listen to you. They will do what makes sense to them.
Yeah.
So that's happened to me a lot. But one of the most profound memory I have seeing their relationship, I think from a good side, they were really good managing their finances. So even though when my father later on like realized that it's so important for my mom to have financial freedom, he gave a lot of, I think as I told you initially, it was hard for him because he never saw that kind of structure in a household. But later on, he was very supportive to my mom, and I saw that they had one account where they were saving and they were making an investment together, and then they were also like spending one side of it. And honestly, this type of concept was not very normal in Pakistan. Normally, like the idea was like, okay, men go for earning and they spend the money, and then women, whatever they make, they save. And they are not bound to invest. But they were like really good at that. The second thing which actually I had always had hard time understanding was my mom and my dad both were teacher. So they used to come home at 2 p.m. and my mom, she would change her clothes and she would go to kitchen, start cooking for everybody. And my father, he would go and take a rest.
Yeah.
And then every morning my mom, she would wake up and then she would start pressing his clothes. And then by the time we were little grown up, we were making his shoes ready, so polishing his leather shoes in the morning. And my dad, he will just do his shave and stuff and make himself ready. And my mom, by that time, she would not only, prepare food, clothes for him, but she would also make all the kids ready.
Yeah.
And then she would make breakfast and then she will go to school. And then I told you, like my mom, she was also, thinking how we can make investment in a way that can be productive. And then, so she was like always like doing a lot. And so that always like kind of stayed in my mind. And I remember my mom told me later on, probably I was 5 or 6 years old, we were doing a lunch together. And I said to my mom that, I said in Urdu, I said like, Ammi, Abbu और आप एक साथ आते हैं, why, वो सोने के लिए चले जाते हैं और आप किचन में चली जाती हैं. This is not fair. So in English, I said that, Mom, I just want to say something that, you both come home at the same time, but you go in kitchen and cook for everyone. And my father go for rest. And I don't think so. This is equal. This is fair. And I remember that my mom registered that somehow, but she brushed that off. And later on, I also like kind of sort of like called my father out, and he was not very happy about my comment. So those kind of things I saw, and I saw these type of things where women are taking more, not just like in my household, but also when I thought like I'm living in Ukhara, it's like a little backward and whatever. But I came to Lahore, I just found in most educated family the same structure. Even in the US too, honestly, like when I was in San Francisco, I could see, I know like here, there is still some balance, like men contribute in the kitchen and stuff like that. But still there is a gap that I see in one way or the other where we, women are doing a lot more and men, have a lot more choice, I would say. And again, I'm not like thinking society like just black and white. Of course, there are places where they come together and do. But this one thing which I always noticed that, my mom thought she never had a choice. My father thought that he has a choice. Yeah, no,
it's at a level that I think it's so ingrained, right? That, my wife and I, we were buying a car right now. And so we have to plan out, okay, well, this is a car I'm going to drive, and this is a car she's going to drive. And, there is almost an expectation when you talk to people that the bigger car, the one that will hold the children, is going to be the mom van. Right? Which is, and I can just have any car I want, of course. Like I can have a car that can't even fit a baby seat, right? It's at the level of our language that when we see a big van, we call it a mom van. We don't call it a dad van. But it's, again, I mean, that's a tiny little example of American life, but
but it is coming from somewhere, which is, deeper.
Exactly.
Right.
It's, when you think back to your childhood, were you happy most of the time? Were you? This is kind of a strange question to ask, but what do you remember about? How do you remember feeling most of your childhood?
Yeah, I think great, but at the same time, I remember that I always wanted to get out of my town.
Yeah.
Get out of my school, not be in my school, not in my house, just explore the world, and not even go in a career trajectory that is set up for women, because I clearly remember that there was hundreds time this conversation that as a woman, the most successful path for you is you should become a teacher, because you can come back at 2 p.m. You can run your family and your kids and all of that, the things that my mom did. Or if you are brilliant, which I was not, you can become a doctor. So I hated that both of the paths, honestly, and particularly with this idea when they say like if you are brilliant and smart, you can be doctor, or you can be an engineer. But I was none, so I was like, whatever.
Actually, lingering on this point for a second, right? Like, I do think that this is a very popular point among Desi, like brown uncles.
Yeah.
Is anytime you bring up any kind of inequality, right? You bring up like income inequality, for example, in that part of the world, they will immediately go to, but Modi used to sell chai or something. They'll go to like the one example of someone who had that, unfair circumstances. But I think I've heard you talk about this. You talked about, I think, in the Humans in New York thing, and I loved it. There is this requirement of brilliance. And not just brilliance, because I think you're brilliant. Like, I think what you built is, I genuinely believe none of the people that were scoring better marks than you in school could have pulled off what you pulled off. But you have to be brilliant when you have these disadvantages in that society. You have to be brilliant in a very specific way.
Absolutely.
There's a way higher burden of brilliance. Whereas in most of the guys in those societies, in those generations especially, you could just walk in putting in minimal effort, and still have a very good life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But anyway, I like how often you say that you weren't a genius.
Yeah.
But so tell me actually about getting out, right? Because you always wanted to leave. Tell me about how that actually happens, first to Lahore and then actually eventually to San Francisco. But first, let's talk about how you get out to Lahore.
So one of the things which I actually heard a lot, which I always questioned and I almost fought back many, many times. So the one thing was I was always fighting about something. So
this is why you got hit so much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there was this one thing which I heard a lot, even though I saw that women in that household or in my town, they were doing a lot. But still, there were conversations whenever there was a big decision making, they would say, oh, we heard your opinion, but, women, they don't have enough brain. So, we are going to make the decision. And then somehow they would have a religious, example of something, which was crazy for me. And as a child, I was looking at human body okay, we have a brain, we have the same hand, and, all of that. And I was like, okay, my brain and the person who's talking, we kind of have the same brain. If it is different, it should shape different, But it is the same shape. So I was questioning a lot. So, I mean, when I discovered a few things on TV, particularly, there was a program we had by Ashfaq Ahmed called Zawiya, where, they would sit in more like a batek style. I don't know how to say it, where people sit.
I also don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
I guess they would just sit in a circle or just it's like a little gathering
exactly,
of people.
Yeah. And then he would tell stories. So he lived a very amazing life where he traveled around the world. He also a very good writer, by the way, if you ever his book, I think he has a book called Zawiya. Anyway, so I used to every week I used to wait for that program and I used to listen to that because it felt to me that somebody can talk to everybody on the same way. And somehow that helped me looked into this, that there is a world out there that is bigger than where I'm living, and I need to like always look for that. So what I did was when I started using internet for the first time, I heard about a company named Rosie.pk. You could like find a job over there, and then kind of like you can create your resume and apply for jobs. So I job over there. I got few interviews, and I told my mom. She said okay, like she was like, she's not too serious, whatever, because I was talking about so many ideas, so she was not thinking like which idea she's like really serious about. At the same time, I was applying for a radio station job and stuff like that.
How old were you?
I was at the time probably like 17, 18, something around that. So then I told my mom, no, it's very serious, I'm going to go. And she called my father and she said like, no, we can't allow her where she's going to live. I think she's trying to run away from her house. So
she was right.
She was right. So she somehow convinced so my father first said, no, it's okay. Like if she's going for an interview, she will come back. And then later on, my mom, she had some conversation in private with my father, and my father called me and said like, you are not going. Wow. And when your father say you are not going, like now you have no way how you gonna get out of your house. Like that kind of household I had. So I spent my whole night sleeping on that couch in our TV lounge. And then my father somehow he saw me, that he woke up early morning, and then he saw me. I was there, and he looked at me and he said like, you really want to go? I was like, yeah, I really want to go. He said like, get ready in 10 minutes because we are going to Lahore for some of our things. So we can take you with you and we can drop you. But we will still decide like if you want to go or you want to be there or not. So that was my first exit from my house.
There's a word that you will know and I know, but Americans don't know about. That is such a filmy thing to do. That is, and I love, brown people are just filmy. Like that is.
You are so true.
It is. It's and I can imagine how he was feeling. I'm not saying it was probably felt very genuinely. He was like, oh no, but my daughter really wants to go.
Yeah.
He had that. But that is, to anyone watching, it literally is the word. It is like acting like you are in a movie, right? And it's a very popular term. But because that's like straight up like DDLJ.
Yeah. See, like you. I mean, my parents used to watch a lot of Bollywood movies for sure. So. I mean, we all grew up.
No,
like
but
that.
it's in our. It's deeper. I think it's like everyone I knew growing up, including me. I'm very filmy. Like you can't remove it. It's not like we're not able to separate. Like well, anyway, this is the whole thing. But so you get to Lahore. Tell me about the process of starting to work on. And this is where I'll just insert myself into this. When I first became aware of your work. Was with Markhor, your first company, right? And I was living in Germany, working for a German coffee company. And it was an office full of Germans and then me. And they wanted to launch a Kickstarter campaign. And they would obsess all the time. They would be looking at like other Kickstarter campaigns that are doing well. And they would keep watching this video for Markhor. And they'd be like, oh, we should really like look at how they're doing this and look how they're doing that. And it was also weird for me to watch it as, the only Indian person there to like watch that. But that was the first moment that I became aware was the Markhor Kickstarter campaign. But tell me everything that happened between you getting to Lahore and then you launching Markhor, launching that Markhor Kickstarter campaign. Like what was that? What happened in the middle there?
So, of course, this, when I look back, it's been more than 10 years. So this story is really, really long, but I'll just talk in pieces. So when I came to Lahore, I got that job and I started doing that job from 9 until 2 p.m. And then I was taking a graphic designing course because I wanted to also enhance my skills. At the same time, Vikas and I met. We used to go to FC College library. What do you call it? Like Foreman Christian College? Foreman Christian College, so we used to go to the computer lab in order to just like work on some kind of idea where we can help other businesses and nonprofit to how they can use social media, how they can make website, how they can tell their story.
What year would this have been?
It was 2009.
Okay. Yes, you were early.
Yeah. So somehow that idea was not going anywhere. But then we met with a group of craftsmen who were making handmade shoes in 2010. And then earlier we thought like, hey, why not we make their website? We read a story of Zappos, so we thought like, oh, it will be really cool bringing their shoes online, and we can do a really good story and all of that. They never believed on that idea. They was like, you guys are crazy. And the owner of that unit, he said, you guys are young. You have your whole life in front of you. Why not you go and find something meaningful?
Yeah.
What you guys are doing? Like, why you want us to be on the on internet? People always buy shoes when they try on. They don't buy shoes online. So somehow that idea was there. When I visited that, there were like 5 people working on the floor making shoes. I was very fascinated. I never saw a shoes made by hand, like completely. And I was like, this is so amazing. Like, this is itself, you can show the art. It's itself a story. And then we said that, hey, why not we start something together? He said, okay, in order to start, you have to, we all 3 can come together. You will bring 25,000. I'll bring 25,000 rupees. And Sidra will bring 25,000. He brought, because of course he was doing the business.
Yeah.
We never been able to bring that much money.
Oh, wow.
Because we were like living in all over the place in Lahore. So then we applied in a grant which was started by Google, and they gave grant to Pakistan Software House Association. And they selected 4 ideas, and one of the ideas they selected Markhor. At the time it was hometown, and they gave us money, $8,000 to start the idea, which they did not give us all at once. They gave us the first 25.
That must have been so much money.
Oh my God, so much. Yeah.
Wow.
We thought it solved our problem or whatever. We thought like we made it, honestly. But the real challenge was that it took us so much time to get the whole money from them, because somehow like they wanted to be a gatekeeper.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I realized that you can control someone by giving them money, and you can control someone by not giving them money.
That is a really incredible idea.
So I was like, oh my God, like they are literally controlling, because they had no idea that we were living in hostels. Our parents, they don't approve this idea of us starting the business. And then, this money is so important for us. Not only like for us to survive during that time, but also like build something out of that. They promised that we had that in that application. So that's how we started Markhor. Then we said that, oh, we're going to do, Kickstarter campaign. We were hearing about that a lot. And we were thinking about that idea. And then one day, we were making a little bit progress, and we still had no idea when we're going to, launch it. And then we went one day and we just said, we are launching our Kickstarter campaign by this day. Now, you have to meet that promise. So we started working backward from there, and we launched our Kickstarter campaign. It was really, really successful. Like, we raised $107,000
Wow.
for the first time. Like, in Pakistan, that much money, oh my God. Like,
had you ever heard of anyone in your generation having a business that big at that point?
No. In my entire family, everybody was teacher. In Makhar's family, his mom was teacher. So, and other people were farmers. And so teaching or farming, those 2 things.
Wow. And then I'll tell you what the Markhor did for me. It was the first time that I saw, growing up in that part of the world, you're around so much incredible craftsmanship.
Yeah.
I mean, you can throw a rock anywhere in Delhi or Lahore, and you'll hit a craftsman doing something that his family's done for like 40 generations, right? There'll be like literally things that you can't even imagine. They're like ivory craftsmen in India who just all they do is carve ivory and make these incredibly intricate structures. Like they'll make like a Taj Mahal or something, right? And that's just one thing, and they've done it for so many generations. But growing up there, it's just in the water. You don't even think about it, right?
No.
And then it was the first time, because people have to understand the time period here, that I saw somebody take that and tell that story well in a respectful way to an audience outside. And now it's very common. Now it's like now you can't find a product that hasn't been converted into a D2C brand over here.
Craftsmanship.
But at the time, I think it was very unique. I think you guys were really pioneers in that.
The only companies, companies who were talking about craftsmanship were Swiss watch companies.
Yeah.
And they were doing an incredibly brilliant storytelling around it.
I think that was also a really big part of it, that like it was only considered craftsmanship if it came from one part of the world. You know, it was not considered. And to me, like, there's no way in which you can describe incredible craftsmanship that wouldn't include the leather workers of Lahore, right? Like it's everything that you would look for, but that's just not. We weren't trained to look at it that way.
I have one question which I don't know. Maybe someone have thought about this. So I went to a museum here in New York. I think MoMA. I saw one of those beautiful doors, which actually I saw in my hometown many times as a piece of art. And we call over there like a kind of a thing that we use most of the time, and then also craftsmanship. But here, they were calling it art.
Yeah.
So sometimes I wondered, like, what kind of words we should use in order to give a bigger value to something that it deserves. Like, when you say something is a piece of art, somehow like the value get increased. When you say craftsmanship, you say like a beautiful small scale project, something, right?
Yeah, that is such a good point, because also I don't want to act like the reason we don't value craftsmanship in our part of the world is because of people from the outside. No, we don't value it ourselves. Like the jeans I'm wearing right now, these were custom made by a tailor in Delhi, right? And when he was making them, at the end, he said to me in Hindi, but he asked, "Oh, do you want me to put like a Levi's sticker on it?" And I said, I don't understand. And he was like, no. Like, a lot of times people come in and they want like a Levi's, like a fake Levi's. Like he was asking me if I wanted like this to be a counterfeit pair. And I remember thinking, this is a real problem. Because in America, there's the coolest thing you could have are custom made jeans. But in India, he would have charged a little bit extra to make it look like a pair of Levi's.
Like if he would say like, hey, can I sign on your jean? Right? That
in America, that would be incredible. But over here, But back to you and back to Markhor. So we zoom out for a second. So you do this Kickstarter, 100 and how much?
$107,000.
I like that you remember the exact number. $107,000. And how much after that, or what was the process of going from that to coming to America, going to San Francisco, going to YC? Tell me about that. Warm Intro is brought to you by WeFunder. Quick story. So in early 2020, my company and I were working towards this really big launch. And we put every dollar we had in the bank and every person on the team towards working on this launch. And then we launched 2 weeks before the entire world shut down. All of a sudden, our launch was worth nothing. VCs weren't writing checks. Angels weren't writing checks. I was convinced that we were going to go out of business and all this work we'd done, years of work, was going to be worth nothing. And in that moment, we came up with an idea. We decided to raise a community round. We sent an email out to all of our customers saying, hey, if you like what we're doing, become an investor, own a part of this. Within 2 hours, we raised enough money not just to survive the pandemic, but to thrive as a business. Even today, 5 years later, none of that would have been possible without our community. And frankly, none of that would have been possible without WeFunder. See, WeFunder created the community round. WeFunder created a way for people who believe in you, your customers, your clients, to actually invest in you, to be part of your journey. I tell every single founder I know that cares about community to go raise a community round. If you care about your customer, the greatest thing you could do is to let them invest in your business. Go to wefunder.com/join to check it out.
Yeah, so I think one thing which I just want to say that Kickstarter campaign particularly, you get really excited that, like you raised this much money. And we were really, really excited. But then it was time to deliver the product.
Yeah.
And there was so many issues because we never produced shoes at that scale. And then I think this was the first time when we were doing business like that. So I think product margins were not clearly thought. And then so when it was time for shipping, we faced so many supply chain issues. So anyways, we fixed that. That's another story. But I almost had a nervous breakdown for the very first time in my business.
And you were the operations person, right?
I was working on the operation product and making sure that we ship the shoes out. And then we applied in Y Combinator. And, we applied in Y Combinator in 2012, and this was just an idea. And we were thinking about maybe we should do something with Craftsmanship. And by this time, we are now in 2015.
Yes.
We did a Kickstarter in 2014. So we applied at the time and we got rejected, of course. And when we did Kickstarter campaign, somehow we should actually apply in Y Combinator. And there was one question where they said, like, have you applied before? If you have, how much progress you have made? Now we have made so much progress. And somehow now we were also thinking about that we can actually take the idea further. Now we have run this first pilot project. We know like how you can build a product, do a storytelling, and then really like sell to an international audience. We can actually build a platform more like an Etsy of South Asia where, other people can come and they can start selling. So we applied with that bigger goal in Y Combinator. We got selected. And
first Pakistani company
to be selected and then the other interesting thing was my other co-founder Vikas, his visa got accepted and somehow my visa got rejected, which was crazy, and I couldn't attend the first class. But then later on, Michael Seibel, he wrote a letter, and then someone from Pakistan wrote a letter to the embassy, and then that's how I got my visa. And I came to YC to attend the first class, and I had the second nervous breakdown that time. Because it's at the time I was not really good at speaking in English. My English was not good. I was good in writing because by the time you learn.
The English they teach us.
Oh my God. Yeah.
The most useless. They teach you how to they'll teach you how to like write a formal correspondence. To like
respected sir,
the chief minister of your state, but they won't teach you how to like have a conversation, how to order coffee.
No. So I was honestly like, in my mind, I was mostly like when I was having conversation with other people, I was mostly translating from Urdu to English before I say, and there was a lag, like a very uncomfortable lag, that where people were like looking at my face and my lips, and I was like buffering. And I was like, I don't know how I can say, and those people somehow like in YC it feels like that everyone is so accomplished, and actually everyone's profile is also very I think really like those are those kind of people, like if you are in entrepreneur journey, then you would like to meet with them or talk to them. So very impressive profile. So every time I was having conversation, I was like, I'm wasting their time. I'm wasting their time. I don't know. I need to go back and practice what I want to say. So a lot of like, it was like internal conversation over and over again, like negative conversation over and over again. And on top of that, everyone in Pakistan, they were celebrating, first company.
Yeah. They did. Were they writing articles and everything?
Yeah, they also like did first Kickstarter campaign. It was successful. These are our whatever, heroes or whatever. And here, me sitting in Y Combinator, what the hell I'm doing
having
here?
A nervous breakdown. Yeah.
And I was like, I'm the biggest fraud in the world. Like what I'm doing. When you have a negative conversation, there is no break. It's like infinite.
It's the tape is stuck, and all you can do is have.
Exactly, and then you get to a point where you are even, using those words that probably when your parents they were hitting you, they used. So I was even, calling myself, I don't know, whatever. So it was really, really bad for me, honestly. Like throughout that time, the experience. Even YC founders, they were really excited because they never saw like that type of story. And a lot of them bought our shoes from Kickstarter. So, and then one friend, she gave me a really interesting tip. She said, like, I understand that, you are an immigrant founder and of course you are learning this new language and culture. She said, maybe when you have conversation with other people, just tell them, hey, my English is not that good. I'm going to say something, but if this does not make any sense to you, please ask me again.
That's a great tip.
Yeah. And then, that gives me like that kind of like offload something out of my chest that, this is, I should not be ashamed of. I should not be afraid of.
I love that. That was my grandfather, the one I was mentioning earlier. He was the first person that I saw because, a lot of old people, as they get older, they can't hear, but they sort of just act like they can hear. And so they'll just miss the information. And my grandfather would interrupt everything to be like, I didn't hear you. And he would make you, and he would say it in Hindi, of course, but he would make you say it again and again until he heard you. Yeah. And I always thought it made it possible to still have a conversation with him because then I don't mind repeating myself. But I think people are so nervous all the time, especially immigrants, about how about making sure that it comes across that everything's normal, that they kind of miss the point of like, no, the point is to communicate.
Exactly. But this thing which your grandfather said, this happened during YC demo day practice that happens.
Yeah.
So Vikas was on the stage and we wrote like the whole presentation and everything, and he was at the stage and now he's presenting to YC partners. And every time he says a word, they would say, we don't understand you. Stop. We don't understand you. Say it again, and very, very slow. Wow. And now the guy was like almost shaking on this stage because, like, I don't know, there is something over there. Like it feels like you are exposed, right? But he was also very persistent. He was trying really hard.
Yeah. So. Sorry, that just reminded me of my practice. I went up on stage and I started talking, and from the back, Michael Seibel yells, I can't hear you, speak louder. And so I started speaking louder, and then there's a few minutes of pause, and then a girl from the back who was in my batch goes, you sound angry. Can you please? The only way I knew to be louder was to just yell. But okay, so you go through YC, you get through all of this.
Yeah.
And as I understand it, you didn't success right away, right? It was long, I don't know about how long, but there was a meaningful period of struggle there.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What were the sort of the things you had to do to actually get to a successful company?
Yeah. I mean, first I've already told you that the idea of like, am I the right fit for the environment? That was really big one. Kind of a very big mental barrier. The second was, which is actually dealing with the reality of the business.
Yeah.
So even though we were trying to build more like a tech platform, we were not being able to like build the product because there was payment gateway issues, something going on in supply chain with the existing business where money is coming from, which is basically selling shoes, because now both founders are here. We have a very small team sitting in Pakistan. And then we were not being able to raise any investment. And, it was also not only heartbreaking from a perspective of that, raising fund somehow when you are in a demo day, you feel like that this is your entire world, this is the entire picture.
Yeah.
And if it was not happening, you were some kind of like feeling failure or like shame or something, which was kind of like putting you down. So, and the other thing I think in our mind, we were kind of during that last like 1.5 year, we were very much celebrated as a really good founder, entrepreneur on the internet in Pakistan. And now we were not being able to raise a single money. So, the problem with success is that
it makes you feel like you have to be successful.
Exactly. And not just like you started feeling, but everyone, you feel, I don't know if everyone does that or not, but it feels to you that everyone is watching every step of you.
Yeah.
Which is not true, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it was really hard for both of us, for Vikas and for me. And then we started writing. Actually, we met with Paul Graham during that time. He said, what you guys are building, we told him this. He said, have you ever met with your customers? Looks like that people really loved your shoes and they really love what you guys were building. And we were like, we haven't met with our customer. We haven't talked to them what they want. And he asked, like, you should go. If I would be at your place, I'll go and meet not only your customer, I will also meet people who are buying shoes and why they are buying it. And he said, like, just focus. Don't try to like do too many things. Like if that idea of platform is not going forward because of some of the reason, but just figure out like what you are excited about and then just go and work on that idea. So the first step we did was we actually wrote a document and we said, I wrote that document for myself. I said like why I am here. Like there were chances for me to be in Ukhara and then not move from there, where like almost like 1,000 person. I don't know how I came to Lahore to San Francisco, but now when I'm in San Francisco and in Y Combinator, there must be some reason why you are here. And then the second question, I said that what you are really excited about, what you have built so far, what exactly you are excited about that. And the answer that, the first question is very hard, even to this day. I don't have an answer like why I am where I am right now. But the second question, I found the answer that I'm really excited about building a product that people can use every day.
Yeah.
So the idea of even making a shoes that people can wear every day and it's very comfortable, very functional, that it helps them go throughout your day was very, very important for me. And I worked very closely on the shoes even when we were starting up and all of that. So that was the thing that, and then Vikas, I think he wrote that he's really excited about making something for every day.
Yeah.
And somehow like we were very close in that. So then we started going to Stanford Mall, Adidas shop, Nike, New Balance. We were just like every weekend we will go over there. And then if we see someone who's wearing really nice, looks like a designer or someone like who has a good taste, we will go and ask like what you are buying. And we are doing research just to see, to understand people's buying behavior. And many times people would say these words. They would say, I'm buying for something that I can wear every day, where I don't need to dress up, dress down. I'm buying something where I don't need to untie my shoes. I'm buying something, I'm looking for something where when I have sweat in my feet, my shoes don't smell. And it should be extremely comfortable. And that's how, we started writing our first document. If we need to make ideal everyday shoes, forget about we have funding or not. That's not the point right now. It's about like if we need to make something which we deeply care about, and that is making the ideal everyday shoes, what we need to do. So that's how we started working on the product, and that's how our whole journey of starting Atoms.
I'll inject myself into the story one more time for completely useless detail, but this is when I first met you, which was that either you or Wakas had posted in YC Bookface. This is just, the entire point of the story is just to show how small this world is. Had posted about your apartment in Haight-Ashbury and how you were subletting a room. And my co-founder and I showed up. And the only reason we ended up not being roommates was because you guys didn't have a parking spot. Otherwise we would have. But anyway, let's enough about me. Well, coming back to this, right? And as I understand the story, I'm going to jump over some things here, but I really there are a lot of things that YC says that are valuable, but I don't think that there's anything quite as valuable as anytime you feel afraid, anytime you don't know what to do, anytime you feel stuck or distracted as a founder, just slow it down, just work on your product and talk to your customers. If you just do that, if that's all you do, you will get somewhere. Yeah. And as I understand in your story, you guys started doing this, and that I remember when Atoms is born, and it first takes off among YC founders, and then it kind of takes off among Silicon founders in general. And I know VCs were really trying to get in, and then it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, at this point, have you sold, I don't know which of these numbers you're comfortable sharing, but give us a sense for how many pairs you've sold at this point.
To this point, close to maybe 1 million.
Million pairs of shoes up. And can you give us some of the famous names of the people that especially the ones that you didn't know were going to wear it? Yeah. And then you just saw them wearing it?
Yeah. So Serena Williams.
Oh, my God.
Also, she ended up investing in Atoms through her fund. We have Johnny Ive. He also sent us a handwritten note.
Really?
Yeah. He said that these are the most comfortable shoes he ever worn. Thank you. And then Shopify CEO, of course, Alexis Ohanian, because he was someone who supported us a lot. Very grateful for that. And then we also, Brad Pitt, he was wearing Atoms mask everywhere. A lot of Bollywood celebrities also wore Atoms mask, like Ranbir Kapoor, Alia. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Alia's mom, Alia Bhatt's mom, she kept buying from Atoms. Yeah. And she usually ordered like white shoes or something.
This is for people that are listening that don't know. I don't even know what the equivalent would be. Whoever the biggest actresses right now.
Yeah,
It's
youngest Gen Z.
Yeah, like it would
actress.
be like the Sydney Sweeney of
Yeah.
India or something like that.
Yeah, she's amazing.
That's so incredible. I'm not trying to gloss over, like, I think one of the things that I've heard you do and seen you do really well is, I'm making it sound like it's a straight line from struggling at Sanford Mall to Serena Williams is wearing your shoes. Yeah. But I know that the graph looks like that, right? Yeah. But I do think that there's it's important to be able to zoom out, right? Yeah. Especially in your story, to me, it's just, still, even knowing you a little bit, this is the first time we're really sitting down and talking, but even knowing you a little bit, it's still incredible, where you've come from and where you're at, what you're doing. Tell me about this now. So, coming a little bit to the sort of present moment, right? I guess my first question would be, how happy are you day to day and how stressed are you day to day right now?
This is the best time of my life.
Okay. That makes me very happy.
Yeah, this is the best time of my life going through. I think by the time you go through, I always questioned this, what life would be if you don't go through painful experiences. We don't know, because all of us went through all kind of painful moments in our life. But I still wonder to that question. But I know where I am right now, that while going through all those crazy ups and downs, every time there was something big going on in my life, which was crazy big achievement, something low was happening at the same time. Yeah. So I always lived in a very neutral kind of place, where I was not being able to, either express my happiness or either express my sadness. And then at the same time, it was I really want to get out of there. So this is the first time where I think couple of things which I did. First of all, I started doing yoga. Mm-hmm. That really helped me. I still wherever. And then I started working inside me more. Mm-hmm. And I think in our culture, especially, you and I, we talked about Sufism a lot. They talk about this, you read 1,000 books you never read yourself. Yeah. So I think when you say reading yourself, it doesn't mean that, you reading yourself in all the big moments. Not all the exciting moments, but also reading yourself, how you react, when you are angry, when you are sad, when you are happy, how you react. When all of this happens at the same time, how you react. One of the things which I'm teaching my daughter to share with me how she feels in that moment. So when she say, I'm very happy, I say how you are feeling, how this feeling of happiness, is going through your body. And then there are times where she says I'm feeling great, I'm feeling awesome, I'm feeling I want to jump. And then when she's going through some hard time or whatever in her own way, she would say, I'm sad, I'm very angry, and I want to cry a lot. Mm-hmm. And I want you to fix this problem for me. Yeah. So, what I'm trying to say is probably my life in terms of the outcome, maybe I'm in some kind of loop still, because we all are. But the most important thing is that now I somehow connect with myself in a way that I'm constantly watching myself inside, how I'm reacting, what I want, what I'm looking for. And then and I think the biggest thing which I started doing which I learned very, very late, I hope I knew that, manifestation. Mm-hmm. So the thing which I learned is, and I think a lot of people talk about quantum field or, those kind of ideas. But for sure, I know this is something I have done myself. If you want to be happy, just imagine you are happy. Mm-hmm. And honestly, if you practice this more and more and more, you will start feeling it. So every day when I woke up, I just say I have the best life, I'm healthy, my daughter is healthy, I have the best team, I have money in the bank, mm-hmm. My company is making sales, we are making great progress. So somehow I think all of those are helping me a lot in my happiness.
That's beautiful. It makes me very happy that you're doing so well. A couple of things I want to call out in there. I have two questions for you to end this, but the first thing I do want to call out that's so noteworthy is for you to have gone from, where you started, the circumstances you started, and to be where you are, and to still feel at times, right, that you haven't done enough, that things aren't going well. Yeah. That is I mean, none of us are safe. If you are, if you can feel like a failure at times, that's, I mean, what hope is there for any of us, right? That's the first thing. I actually think it's really funny because you say a couple of times, you say, I was wondering, why am I here?
Yeah.
Sidra, you're here because you're brilliant. Like no, I mean, truly, like it's.
I hope I can add a value also. At the same amount I'm getting value. You know what I mean? Like
you are, Sidra. I mean, there are a million pairs, so there are a million people walking around, right? I mean, and that's just one example, but the broader effect that you've had on the community. Even people like me that were just sort of on the outside, just other founders, and then that's not even mentioning the impact you've had back in Lahore, right? I'm not going to make you go into that story. I think if anybody's interested, they should go and read the Humans of New York thing, which, I mean, that alone, how many pairs did you sell from that story?
Yeah, so we did, I think more than 20,000 pair we sold. We did $3 million sales in 3 days.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Shout out to Humans in New York.
Yeah. He's a brilliant guy, by the way.
Oh, incredible. He was another one of these pioneers that he started a type of storytelling that didn't exist before that.
I met him 2 days ago and I asked him, he launched his book. So I asked him like, hey, can you sign some books for Atom's community? And then he said, I think you want to get one book signed for you. And I was like, what you want to write? And he said, you can sail, he wrote like, Sidra, you can sail any boat.
Wow. Actually, so this is relevant to the second to last question I have for you. Our chat on iMessage is mostly just every 3 to 4 months, I'll send you like a Sufi video that I'll see on Instagram. Do you have, and it's okay if you can't think of one right now, but do you have either a Sufi line or a Sufi book or a poem or just a Sufi poet that you go back to a lot? I just want to shout out like some 17th century poet.
No, I mean, honestly, I think we always talk about Bulle Shah. He's a Punjabi poet, right? He wrote a lot of things that whenever you go back and you see, you always say like, oh my God, like I wish I knew that depth. So even what, I just quoted, like you read 1,000 books, but you never read yourself. This is something he said several times. And I think even, you can say this over and over again, but you still don't understand the depth of it. Like we are talking about that everything is like a bigger consciousness. We all are connected with that consciousness, right? And we all are connected, right? Not with that, the larger consciousness that exists for this entire universe. But when I see like, hey, how I can connect, it goes through me, right? Yeah. There is no other way that I can connect with other people if I'm not going through me. So I think that one and the response he gave to people who said, I'm not going to quote it right, when somebody said that your Lela is like have a black skin. And he said like, the writing of Quran is in black. And he said like, you don't have an eye to see. It's not her skin, it's you don't have an eye to see.
If there are two things that I can tell people to do in this podcast, it is, number one, go buy a pair of Atom shoes. Your feet will thank you. And then go read some Bulle Shah. Yes. There are enough translations out there. You just start with Instagram Reels. Just look up Bulle Shah. It will genuinely change the way you think about yourself and the way you think about it. And I will continue to send you Reels. The last question I have for you, Sidra, is... we started off with me asking you to describe your mom. It's 20, 30 years from now when my son is interviewing your daughter. And, he asked her the same question.
Or the other way around.
Or the other way around. But for the purposes of this question, my son asked your daughter to describe her mother. I guess, what do you think she'll say? What do you hope she'll say? You can answer either one.
I think the only thing I hope she says that... I know like she's going to say like my mom, she's a great mom. And by the way, this is so crazy. Like even to this day, whenever I'm sitting in silence, she would come and she would say, Mommy, you are doing great. I don't know how she learned that, but she says that. So I'm for sure knows that she would say that. But I think one thing which I want my daughter to say about me is that my mom was also a good human being. And I think this is very important because I feel like that somehow we do something for our people, our community. There is a way we keep doing that, even if it's apparent or not. But like thinking about larger, humanity. Even now, I'm thinking about environment too. I think that's another big thing that is coming up. We are not paying attention. There is a lot of conversation. So how we are, doing things to protect this beautiful earth for us, for our children, for humanity in future. So I don't know. I have a lot of ideas right now. Like I have certain goals. Like I want to do this, and then after this, I want to do this and do that. So in that realm, the sum is like when my daughter see me doing all of those things, she would say like, "Hey, she was a great human being."
That's a beautiful place to end. Sidra Qasim, a great human being. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.